in
Mandalorian.
I was like,
that was actually
they CGI'd him, right?
It was the one bright spot on that episode. It was an awful episode.
Well, you didn't like Jack Black?
No. And who was the Jack Black and Lizzo?
Oh, was that Lizzo?
That was Lizzo.
Oh.
So
Who the heck's Lizzo?
she's a singer and a flautist.
A flautist?
Yeah, she's a good flautist. She plays the flute.
She likes to flout.
Go ahead, Josh. What are you going to say?
I'm just thinking,
Josh, go ahead.
Sometimes
Josh.
what people call
Josh, go ahead.
pianists, they forget the A. So it's...
Pianist.
No, they say it really, really quick.
I see. Well, there's another 2.5 minutes that we now have to burn. Thanks, Josh. No, I'm keeping that one in. So, Jake.
Yes.
I'm just going to talk to you from now on. Josh is
I am here.
Josh is in a mood.
I am here.
Kind of worried about to talk about some of this stuff with Josh in the mood.
Seriously. He's going to say
Yeah.
something. Either Jesus is coming or he's going to...
No, that's why I have
Talk about-
caffeine. This podcast is brought to you by
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew.
They're not paying us, but
No, they're not paying us. It's just in my hand.
Hey, and this podcast isn't brought to you by Mountain Dew at all.
Ooh, did you hear that?
That was pretty...
Ladies
that was-
and gentlemen,
it
That
would
was
have been
straight
good
up
until the
ASMR.
pop happened, and then they kind of
Ooh.
ruined
Everyone, get excited.
it. There goes another 2 minutes.
What for the podcast? Jake, get your dirty mind out of the dirty gutter where our mom played.
Joshua, seriously, can someone do something? What is your problem?
Josh, this-
seriously, I need you to think just slightly before you say something. It's just a little bit, man.
Just let the caffeine kick in. It'll kill my ADHD.
Oh my goodness gracious. It's like a loose cannon.
and without any rules.
There's literally...
And there's not even a cannon. I'm just loose.
Oh,
Like loosey goosey.
are we ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Jake, are you ready?
I got it all out.
I hope so.
Welcome, everybody, to the Twaddling Along podcast.
Wait, I just dropped my phone.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm ready.
The podcast brought to you by, hopefully the caffeine takes Josh's ADHD away.
It's taking him to new heights.
Seriously, something needs to change. I'm your host, Dan McBride, here with my brothers and co-host, Joshua
Hello.
and Jake.
Tabby tabby po.
Oh.
Tabby Tabby Po.
Tabby tabby po.
Tabby Poe. To you as well. You. Hey,
Josh definitely needs to say it. So
Tabby
we
Tabby
are,
Po.
we are on the second part of our... I don't even know where I was going.
3-part series. Second week of our 3-week.
wait. This is the 3-part.
I don't
We're
know.
on the second part of the Filipino folklore and the second week into our podcast for this cycle, which
Thank
is
you.
yeah.
This
which is
is
the
why
paranormal.
we work
Yes.
together.
This is what I was trying to say.
Good.
But I am so distracted by Josh's comments before we started recording that I'm actually flummoxed. I am flummoxed.
Everyone, I
It
just want
happened
to point
last
out,
week, too, when
I was
you
going to
turned
say,
it
it's,
This is so bad. It's like,
everyone, Danny needs help.
yes.
If you need help like him, call the senior center.
Seriously.
It becomes concerning when you have to rely on me. So
And heaven help us if you have to rely on me because it's over.
Speaking on relying on you, Jake, it is your week. What are we talking about?
oh, I forgot.
Well, you actually already said it. So,
I have a 5-second memory.
like a goldfish? Oh, that was disproven, huh?
What gold-
Mythbusters.
What?
The 5-second memory. That's the saying is you have a memory like a goldfish.
No, it's Dory from Finding Nemo.
Yeah, but the goldfish.
But the goldfish was
Has
the
a
thing
very
that came
short-
before Dory.
yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Then why wasn't Dory a goldfish?
Because she was a blue
She
gill
was
or
in the
whatever it
ocean.
is.
I don't know if that type of goldfish is found in the ocean.
Man,
not.
this is
that
why.
that just reminded me of the idea that elephants never forget. they have outstanding memories. And there was a comic I was reading the other week that I can't remember the exact thing, but like someone handed them food and it's like, here's your food. Enjoy your food for us, okay? You too. They drove off and then it showed up at nighttime in bed going, what am I doing?
You too.
Oh. Well, unlike an elephant, I forget often. So
Here, I'll bring this segment back. Did you know elephants are where the mythical creature Cyclops come from?
Tell us about
it's
it,
like
Josh.
a paranormal activity. Oh my gosh, paranormal, Jake.
Josh, that was a fantastic.
So
segment.
there actually is a Cyclops in Filipino folklore.
Is it really?
Guess what? I didn't include him. Thanks a lot, jerk. Just completely derailed everything that I tried doing.
I was trying to follow my comedic hero,
I see.
Colin Mockery, who said something about a car. What? Something about a car? You
Pat
mean Pat
Benatar?
Benatar?
Bend a car.
Oh, yeah. Bend-a-car? You mean Pat Benatar?
You're going to quote Colin Mockery. You quote him right.
Also, isn't it Colin Mockery?
What
I don't think it's mockery.
Well, he makes a mockery of himself.
I see.
Oh, now I have to look it up.
Wait,
No.
you can't. You're in charge of this episode, and it has not started well.
It has started fantastic.
What I'm trying to do is
Not
I'm
started good.
trying to find out the name of the Filipino Cyclops.
Wasn't it the tall, hairy one?
That explains like half of the creatures on the.
No,
Danny, I think they would describe you that way.
We're going to talk about one of the hairy ones, and we'll actually go into that's the one that I technically saw.
You saw a hairy one?
sorry.
You mean yourself in the mirror?
According to the people I was with, who were petrified, and I was not convinced because
The Philippines folklore, the equivalent of a cyclops is known as the bungus.
the bungis ning.
Is that what it is?
Wait! I gotta get this right because NG in the Philippines is a letter,
It's
What
guttural.
letter is
and it's guttural. You
So
say
it's
it
the
from back and forth. No, not
Not Arabic.
Yes.
Come on.
Oh, I'm Joshua.
No, that's how you pronounce it, like a H sound in Arabic.
Oh, with a heavy H. Okay.
Yeah, not. Here, okay. I'm being accused of being all these things. All I am is being truthful, and my brothers don't give a crap.
So how do you say it, Jake?
Bung Isnis. I always had a hard time pronouncing the character.
I'm just going to call it Bolognese.
The bolognese. Yes.
The Bolognese.
But anyway, actually, in their folklore, the Cyclops is actually kind of this jolly, happy thing that always smiles,
mischievous
always
or
joking.
amused expression, constantly in laughter.
Yep. So like they would be out and they would just hear this jovial laughter, and there would be this.
So
creature.
he would be like the ghost of Christmas present. Where, like,
Except Harry
Except he has one
And
eyeball,
one eye.
tusks, and
doesn't give presents.
yes.
I bet they'd
and
be,
is not loosely based on Father Christmas.
I bet they'd be best friends.
Come in, know me better, man.
Blink, because his eye does that.
Because his eye just blinks.
So, just
Oh dear.
this is going great.
This is going good. Okay, go ahead, Jake.
All right, so
What's the first one we're going to talk about?
we're actually gonna say something first. So I said earlier, "Tabi tabi po,"
Yes.
which means "excuse me, please." We wanted to say that one because of Josh and Danny's antics, and two because that is actually something that is kind of said when someone is entering a deserted or rural area. I can't say rural area.
Just about to quote Colin Mockery.
You announce your presence in order to show respect to the spirits.
And
Because if
Tabi
you
tabi po.
don't, they get grumpy.
Tabby Tabby Poe.
Yep.
Interesting.
So tabby tabby is, is just kind of excuse me, and then the po is kind of this respectful thing they put afterwards.
It's really interesting. After our last episode, which if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, I think it was our first paranormal episode, wasn't it? That we did the Filipino legends.
It was.
So I think it's almost a year ago. Anyways, I was reading a lot about the Filipino legends, especially the Duwerde, the little dwarf guys.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that I found peeing in different areas in the Philippines and then reporting that they were getting sick from Duwerde curses was astounding. I thought that you were kind of kidding. No, like literally, it is like just a common thing. Like, oh yeah, I accidentally peed on a rock and then I had a fever for 3 weeks. Went to a shaman and he said that I pissed off the Duwerde.
Get it? Pissed off?
Oh dear.
More like pissed on.
Can you imagine he's in there reading a book? What the heck?
Rain wasn't on the forecast.
What do you think you're doing?
Speaking of dwarves,
Looks like rain.
I actually found out there is a wise dwarf that kind of also lives in anthills and stuff, and his name is Nuno Sapunso.
Nuno Sanpunso.
You both did it wrong.
I'd just like to point out, I think I said it more like what Jabba the Hutt would sound like.
Nuno So tell us about this Nuno Sanpunso.
I don't have any more information. I just want to let you know the name of it. It was kind of a fun name.
Cool.
And he's actually one of the main ones that you kind of, when you walk by what you think is his place, you kind of, tabi pose.
So in the Philippines, are people just constantly wandering around saying tabi tabi po?
Yes, but that's mostly because they don't want to bump into other people. So
Oh, I see.
They're polite people.
I think I talked about this last time. So in Hiligayno, in the language I spoke, I mean, they use tabi tabi po, but you also can use maagi kami. You have to, elongate it, because if you don't say it right, you're pretty much telling everyone you're homosexual.
I see.
Maagi kami, maagi kami, and then you're walking through, and you might confuse some people if you're not. So,
Hey, listen.
I'm not even going to attempt that one.
it's good. Keep your mouth shut.
For the sake of our censors.
So, anyway, let's get on to some scary stuff.
Ooh.
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to start with the first one. This one is called a Chinook.
A Chinook?
A Chinook.
I was going to do the joke, but I've decided not to.
You mean the Chinook, the helicopter?
Thanks, Josh.
Oh, yeah, that was a bad joke.
That was a bad joke. That's why I decided not to do it.
Or do you mean Canuck, a Canadian?
A Chinook.
Oh, okay.
A very terrifying little creature.
Ooh, tell us about it.
One, it disguises itself as a baby.
Ooh.
Two, it likes to hang out in the forest and appear to be abandoned. And then it will loudly cry and wail in order to attract a passerby to come and pick it up, thinking it's a lost child or a lost baby.
So what happens if you do get... Because I would fall for that.
It's
100%.
It's disguised with shedded. That it sheds its disguise, and it reveals its true form and kills the victim by biting and mauling it.
What is its true form?
All
No
the
one
pictures
knows.
that I saw were absolutely terrifying. So do you know the ones I kept seeing? Do you know how Bilbo in Lord of the Rings, when he wants the ring, he gets that weird, crazy...
Yes.
That's kind of what it would be, except on a baby's face.
Oh, that's terrible, and I hate everything about that. So here's my question. Where did the heck, let's try that again. Where the heck did that come from? Why would you be scared of babies crying in the woods?
That's a really good question. Various speculations on the Chinooks came to be ranged from babies. Man, whoever wrote this did not write this well, and I'm not doing it. But I think what it is it's one of those that people, if they had stillborn babies, would just take them out
And leave them.
or aborted or stuff like that. And then the myth became, that then the vengeful spirit would take that body and then use it to attack things.
Because what's interesting is that the idea of some innocent creature calling out for help and luring in victims is really not like a unique thing. That's almost...
It's like siren-ish.
Yeah, it's darn well almost universal. You find it in a whole lot of different cultures and everything like that. And it's so funny to me that a lot of the ones that you hear are children, babies, or like young women. Mm-hmm. And they're all doing the exact same thing. They're trying to call in their victims.
They're like a siren.
Yeah, exactly. And
Except
then,
not happy.
Except, like a crying baby that turns into a monster. That is I don't like it.
Yeah, it was one of those when I like looked it up and was doing research, and then the pictures that they have and like the stuff that they do in their movies.
I just looked up pictures. It is horrific.
Oh, show Danny.
I know. There's one that still has his umbilical cord attached.
Oh, I don't like it.
Now, what's interesting about this is we always talk about how there seems to be always a connection between cultures all over and everything. Danny just saw it.
Oh, I hate,
That's the one I saw.
I hate that. No, the one in the tree was even worse than that one.
It's like a...
You should save some of those pictures. We'll put them online for people to see.
No. This
Come
one,
to our website, the one we want to make you happy about. Oh my gosh!
It looks like, just to describe to the listeners, if someone were to take a cherub, like a baby angel, pull on its legs so they stretch out, and then put a vampire face on it.
It's disturbing. I do not like that. I definitely do not like that.
Now, this Chinook, there's several beliefs about, the different beliefs and things. There's several beliefs about the different beliefs. Let me repeat that. There are several beliefs about where this came from. One of the main ones is that they think that it was introduced by Spanish missionaries, especially those that were coming from Mexico, because in Mexico, they have also a similarly striking
mythological
creature that they also call the Chinek.
So
and
probably
it's actually,
definitely.
Yeah, and it's actually from Aztec mythology.
Oh.
So there might be something.
I've been reading or I watch documentaries a ton, and I've been watching uncontacted tribal people. And the people that are in South America and, Papua New Guinea and India and all that stuff, a lot of them are cannibalistic. And so I wonder if it is kind of a thing of
beware the cannibals.
Beware the cannibals that, these lost tribes that don't contact them, go near them because they will eat your flesh.
Oh, man.
So there you go.
Well, that's happy.
That's one of the main ones.
That's a good
See, this is why
thought.
I was talking about happy stuff before.
You weren't talking about happy stuff before.
Well, kind of in the middle.
I see.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. So the next one we're going to talk about is the Berberoka.
The Berberoka.
I did not say that like a Filipino, so
Why
I
did we
apologize.
sing that?
Because we also sang it like the three caballeros or the three amigos. Berberoka.
Yeah, I rolled my R's even.
So, tell us.
So this is a water monster.
Ooh.
It's actually kind of a dragon of sorts. And what it would do is it would trap its victims by lying on a river and morphing into something bigger to stop the river flow. Wait, nope, I got this wrong. Back up. Sorry. This is not the dragon. This is something that kind of the people say resembles a very large frog.
Ew.
And so what it does is it will go into these different water sources, and then it will block or suck in all the water, and then people will stop by, and then they'll see fish kind of spread out.
Uh-huh.
And then when they go get the fish, he'll release the water again, and it will drown the individuals.
That's interesting.
So,
Oh my gosh.
Do you ever think some of these are based on, I don't know, creatures that have gone extinct? Like maybe there was something so big that was kind of toadish or frogish that existed and was like a manhunter.
maybe. We'll talk about kind of what I actually was meant to talk about earlier. Is the serpents and the different animals and other monsters of the sea.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be fun to do some.
Ooh, the sea
future
monsters
podcast,
would be fun.
Because when you actually look into those and you look at the different types of animals and fossils that they found, you're like, you know what?
It could very well be.
And with how big the ocean is and how little we actually know about it,
Sure.
it would be kind of fun.
This one looks, if you guys remember Quest for Camelot, do you know that monster that has the sword stuck in his head in the deep forest? It's the only 3D part of the whole movie.
No.
You mean the giant?
Yes, the giant. It kind of looks like that, but more toad, like frog.
Oh, I was about to be like, I wouldn't know if I would compare it to that, but I mean,
from what this looks like, it looks like he can blend in quite well.
It looks kind of like an ogre.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
Is that kind of okay?
Yeah. So,
yeah. I see it.
But they have a fear of crabs, especially because they don't like being pinched. So,
So
if
pinch
you
'em.
ever come across one, you pull out those pinchers.
I was going to say, you dammed up my water. I'm going to give you such a pinch.
And
Why did we all of a sudden go that direction?
It's the only way that you can really go with that.
I will pinch you.
I will give you a good pinch.
You've been pinched.
Punchy pinch.
But that is his weakness. So, I mean, or, when in doubt, throw a crab.
Just carry,
have those around.
carry a crab around and just, yeah.
Run!
Oh my gosh.
So, all right. So we're going to move on to this next one. Now, this one is called the capre. This is one of those big hairy things that Danny was talking about. A capre is not necessarily evil, but according to some experiences, the capre have moved on from smoking night edible cigars. Man, whoever wrote this? For goodness gracious, it's probably me.
Smoking cigars.
So normally what it is that they smoke, like they're woodland.
Oh, that's right. These are the guys in the
Mythologicals.
trees, right?
They're in the trees. Sometimes they're just on the floor. They come in various sizes and
I think
everything.
we touched on these last time, didn't we?
Because
I
this
think
is
we
the
hit-
one that Jake saw.
Is it? So did I say I saw this one?
Well,
I think you highlighted, but you didn't.
tell us.
Yeah.
Tell us
So
again.
this is supposedly one that I came across, just because I was told as such. But we were walking down a sugarcane field, and there were also several trees, kind of coconut trees and various other trees that were around that area. And while we were walking, there was this dark individual that was up in a tree smoking something. I mean, I thought it was a cigarette, and I thought it was just, it was dark. It was nighttime. So I was just like, oh, I guess they just like hanging out and
Some dude's
top of
in
the
the tree
tree and
smoking.
smoking. Yeah.
He's high. I get it because he's
but,
high in a tree.
I noticed immediately that the people around me were very uncomfortable. And they kind of wanted to get out of there fast. And so I was like, okay. So we kind of,
How many people were with you?
let's see. It was me and my companion. I think there was two or three other people.
Oh, so you could have taken him.
I mean, he didn't look that tall, so I'm pretty sure he probably would have fallen off the tree and died. But I mean, there's always that. So.
It's really interesting to me because another thing that I kept coming across in the Philippines after we did our show, and I was reading a little bit more about it, especially when it comes to kind of the paranormal, is in the Philippines, it's not uncommon for regular Filipino folk to kind of go and do and try to become these supernatural things, especially when it came to be the Aswangs.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of them that were just like, oh yeah, my aunt decided to make a deal with the devil and became an Aswang. And it's like, what the heck?
Well, I mean, they have documentaries on people that actually state that they're Aswangs.
Oh yeah, and I actually think I watched one of them. It's weird.
Do you think it's for like fame or notoriety, or is it just like
Mental illness.
yeah?
A little. I mean, it's I think a little of all of those.
Gotcha.
Really?
I mean that their fermented fruit also, I'm sure, doesn't contribute to that.
I see.
But I mean the capre itself is just one that it wants to usually protect things. So I mean it's protecting farm animals, sometimes even locals. And so if you attack the thing it's protecting, that's when it suddenly becomes something that's terrifying.
Uh-huh.
So they like to also play pranks on people. So they frequently make travelers kind of become disoriented and lose their way in the mountains or the woods. I think we talked about the tikbalang last time. They does something kind of a little similar.
Mm-hmm.
So, except for the tikbalang, all you have to do is just turn your shirt inside out, and then for some reason, the
Oh, that's right.
tikbalang's
Where
like-
you get lost in the forest or whatever jungle.
yeah, you just turn your shirt inside out, and the tikbalang goes, "Oh, I'm not messing with this guy anymore."
This guy's already lost his mind.
This guy's all freak.
So yeah, they have the ability to kind of make people confused, and they'll hear familiar sounds, or they'll see familiar surroundings, but kind of still have no idea what's going on.
So here's my question, Jake.
Yeah,
How did you feel?
when I saw it,
Yeah.
I didn't believe it. You guys know me. I mean, I am more scared of someone robbing me out in the middle of nowhere than I am of some type of mythological beast coming out.
So you said that you were with a fairly good group of people. Did they tell you like immediately afterward, like, oh, you know what this was? This was a cap.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they afterwards they just said that the way they have a belief that there is this darker being that just smokes, and he usually hangs out in trees.
Interesting.
So, but I had that about a lot of stuff. I mean, I think I talked about it last time. I mean, there were plenty of people that I met that honestly had stories where they had come across some type of mythological
Well, I will
beast.
tell you, there is a lot of stories out there. The woman in white, which we talked about last time, the amount of stories of people seeing this woman in white is astounding.
They full on believed one of my apartments had it. So I mean, they were convinced, and I'm like, are you sure it's just not us?
I came across a thread that literally had, no kidding, thousands and thousands of stories of people all seeing the woman in white. So I don't know.
So here's my question. This is going to kind of dive into human condition, but I look at a few years ago here in the United States and probably all over the world, there was a dress posted, and it was said, is it gold or white, or gold, white, or black and blue? And it was black and blue.
No one can convince me otherwise.
But everyone was like, oh, it's black and blue. And then all of a sudden it's spread, oh yeah, it's black and blue, it's black and blue. But it's actually like totally gold and white. But do you think that this was a
Black
rumor?
and blue.
That this was like a rumor started, or someone did something and then it's got into people's mind, and now it's just like something that people believe in? Does that make sense?
I mean, you're hitting on some pretty... The nature, nurture. What is this? Was it nurture? Did someone just end up that way because of a mental condition?
I mean, it's also super cultural. I mean, from the Spanish. The Spanish have been talking about women in white for about just as long as the Spanish have been around. And this is definitely one of those times where I think that the Filipino culture adopted it hard.
Yeah, because I'll bring this up. This is more personal, close to home. My wife grew up in an all-girl family. And so she was taught, you do not go anywhere by yourself. You will get kidnapped. You will get robbed. You will get raped. No doubts about it. So my wife today is very much like, okay, I need to check in my seats behind. I need to check underneath my car. I need to do all these things so I'm not kidnapped. Where me, I have no like sense of fear going out by myself. And so is it, like you were saying, was that a cultural, like, taught thing that's been passed down for generations and generations of...
It's passed down. There's stories. There's media. I mean, there's just so many things. And so when you introduce the thought, I mean, it opens doors for, people identifying something or translating in their mind that they're seeing something that they might not actually be seeing.
Gotcha.
Or, I mean, for a lot of them, they honestly believed that they saw something. I mean, there were times when I would be with people and they're like, oh, yeah, I just totally saw Manganalan, which is the little bat lady that detaches at the waist and flies away.
I have a story about that.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Do you want to share it?
I do have a story. Do you guys want to hear this one?
I want to hear it.
So this is from a subreddit called Paranormal.
Gotta love subreddits.
And this was from a U.S. Marine that served in the Philippines from 2014 to 2019. He deployed in the Philippines to help out some joint operations against ISIS after a siege of the Marawi. So just kind of a little bit of background. He had been in the Philippines for 3 months, and he was about 4 hours into a mission, and he was staring absolutely like just at nothing. He was kind of just staring off. They were about 12,500 MSL, which just means they were really high up in the mountains, and they were overseeing things with a really thick jungle canopy, and they had IR on. And I'm just going to tell you kind of this from his point of view. I was the camera guy, and I was just chilling, staring into the void. My pilot burned circles in the sky for hours and hours. I asked my officer in charge of the flight if I could go smoke, while the pilot took over the camera after I lock into a geo point to keep the camera from going all over the place, and he said yes. So I go smoke, and not like 1 minute later, I hear my boy inside flying go, hey dude, I think you need to get back here and see this. So I go back inside, pretty ticked off that I hadn't got to finish my cigarette, but then I see the pilot had locked the camera onto. I hop back into my seat and take control because I'm like, oh dear, is this ISIS that's actually in the Philippines, but it's definitely not one of those things. It's flying above the canopy at a pretty good clip, so pretty fast, flapping and gliding on what I can only assume are very large pointed wings. At this point, it's just very dark. The shape is moving over the canopy until I clean it up with the IR image and start picking out a little bit more detail. At first, I'm like, it's just a bird. But then I see the rounded head at the front and small space in between what I assumed was the tail, making me think it had legs. Now, once again, we're at 12,500 feet above elevation. So the detail wasn't amazing, but you can make out the general shapes. Like, if I had a good day for the atmospheric lights altitudes, I could tell an RPG from an AK-47 from the same height. Mm-hmm. Then my smart college-educated officer is like, check the measuring tool. It kind of looks pretty big. So I take the screen cap off my cam, sent it to my pilot who worked the math. It was roughly 6 feet in length with a 6 inches in length, head to toe, with a 17-inch wingspan. As I watched the flying, I kept thinking, this looks like a bat. Just the way it flapped and moved around in general shape, not a bird. I couldn't pick up the feathers. I didn't see the tail. The wings definitely came out at an angular and stretched space like a face. Me and the crew talked about it, passed it up to the hire, but eventually we had to actually go do our jobs instead of becoming amateur zoologists.
Yeah, I mean that I heard. I didn't hear people from the military, but I mean that was common. So the big thing, I mean, there are a lot of, I mean, you see bats, you see birds, you see stuff flapping out there. So I could totally see why people would be like, oh my gosh, there's something. And some of them look big. I mean, I was sitting on a porch hanging out and it's like 10 o'clock at night and I'm just getting ready to go to bed and the moon is beautiful. And so I'm out there looking at it and I look down and I see what I thought was a cat, but it was kind of doing some weird jumping that looked almost like you would see with like a rat. And so I flashed...
Like the leap thing?
Yeah, the leap thing. So I flashed a light on it, and it was a rat. And it was probably, 3-4 feet in length.
Oh, my crap.
And for me, it was one of those things where it's like you look at it and you say, I'm not seeing this.
That's
right.
not right.
That's not right, because I only see this in Princess Bride, and that's,
And it's a man in
ROUSs.
So, and that was one of those times where it's like, okay, there are things that were out there that I'm sure we just don't know a lot about.
Well, and I would love to one time when we're doing the human condition talk about pareidolia. The idea that the human mind comes up with images on its own. This is kind of the thought process that, you see a face on Mars, You see a picture, it's got the image that kind of looks like a face, and you automatically make it a face inside your mind. There's some research that's out there that says that, especially in rural parts of the world where you believe it or not, are actually overstimulated by things that are happening around you. Even though you're in a peaceful place, it's the trees. You just have so much sensory overload that your mind actually starts to try to make sense of it. And as they try to make sense of it, you have kind of this pareidolia. And so that's why they say a lot of people, like in rural parts of the world, especially parts that are heavily forested, parts that have heavy animal presence, there's a lot of noises going on, they'll start to actually literally see things. Like their mind is making them see things in the woods.
Bigfoot.
And so then they start actually, trying to come up with it. That being said, there are a lot of really weird stories coming out of the Philippines of them seeing stuff. So
they have a lot of traditions, folklore. What's really funny is, as I was doing research, a good chunk of these folklore come from the Visayan Islands, which is one of the islands I was on. So it kind of just made me laugh that like this, it's right in the heart of the Philippines. Like for some reason, like there just seems to be a lot of traditions and folklore that seems to sprout out from that. So I mean, there's some interesting stuff.
It's the unexplainable.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we come up with expectations of how the world is supposed to be. And when something doesn't fit into that explanation or the expectation that we've set, that's when our mind goes
Goes
to
haywire.
to the extremes.
Yeah.
I mean, when I've gone hunting before, and for some odd reason, when you're hunting, either it's adrenaline or you're just in the hunter instinct, you hear
Everything. Yeah.
And, I could swear I can hear a deer 50 million times when literally it's like a leaf that maybe moved a half an inch.
Yeah, and I think that's, in rural parts of the world, like the Philippines, where there is actual real danger of you getting hurt while you're just kind of out and about, be it animal, be it falling in, I think that your senses are just dialed up to the maximum. And so you start to interpret everything as kind of a threat, And so I think that's how folklore kind of starts to come about. But once again, the thing is then you start looking into folklore and going, okay, but why are people having so many shared experiences? Why is it that the crying baby is showing up in Latin American countries, but also in like Norwegian countries and also in Indian countries? And yet there was no cross that we know of, no cross pollination between these cultures.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird.
Aliens.
Or pigeons, as Josh just said.
Homing pigeons. More of them.
Maybe the aliens.
What the heck is that?
Had pigeons.
Oh my god.
Or the aliens
are
the
pigeons.
I knew it.
We've had them amongst us
Oh
for
my
years.
gosh. Can you imagine the pigeon that went extinct? The
homing pigeon.
The homing pigeon that were used for these type of messages.
Was it the homing pigeon?
I
Maybe
don't
I'm
know.
wrong.
But maybe
Passenger pigeon.
Maybe those weren't actually extinct at all. They just went home.
Do you remember the good feathers from the Animaniacs?
Yes.
The pigeons that acted as the mob?
The one that was clearly De Niro and Pesci.
Yes.
Yes. Probably one of my favorite things out there is the good feathers. Do I amuse you?
No, it's not what I said.
Why I oughta?
Oh, I love Animaniacs.
Now, here's a question.
Yes.
And you would probably know this more than me, Jake and Danny. Are these folklores specific to the islands of the Philippines, or do they cross into like the mainland just west of the Philippines?
Are you talking about like Southeast Asia, Thailand?
Yeah.
Vietnam,
So like you mentioned this,
Laos.
Your last one, the hairy guy who's smoking in
the Capre.
Yeah. Do you see that also in the mainland just west of, I don't even know what's just west of the Philippines. Is it China?
No, I think it's
Korea.
Korea
or China.
Or is it further south?
I'm telling you, I think it's...
I landed in Hong Kong and then flew to Philippines.
So it's probably like Vietnam or
close.
Myanmar or something like that. But like, do you see those same folklores in
Vietnam, Thailand? It's in Southeast Asia. Thank you very much.
Good job,
Point
Danny.
for me.
You deserve a point.
Do you see similar or not, if not the same folklores in those areas that you do in the Philippines?
It's interesting because, I mean, with my wife having lived in Japan and also with she watches Japanese media, and they have all of their different demons, devils, and things. It's kind of interesting when you see them because they do share a lot of similarities or like some type of belief system, and you see that throughout a lot of the
Gotcha. So
the
it
portions.
is. You could see that it's possibly shared.
Sure.
In gotcha.
I will tell you. So I actually, in kind of prepping for this episode, even though I didn't do a whole lot of prep, I'll be honest. Like I started kind of looking at some of the similarities between all the Southeast Asian places. They have different names, but you see, what's the one in the Philippines where it like splits in half and the intestines are dangling down?
That's the Mangananan, or the bat-like creature.
Yeah. So they have different names for it, like I think I actually still have it up. Hold on. Bear with me, please.
Mananang. There we go. The self-segmenter is what that's kind of big.
It's gross. But there is one very similar that is in Thailand.
Oh, okay.
It is called, wait for it, the Wok Wok.
Wok wok.
And it is a cultural belief.
So, and the reason I ask is, a lot of times cultures and ideas and things are, when it comes to islands in history, history nerd, you kind of sometimes get isolation beliefs, or what they're called are isolation cultures, where it stays specifically on the island of where it is instead of spreading out. And so the fact that it's spread out through these Southeast Asian areas and Northern Asia, I mean, Japan's pretty far north.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me of like, okay, wait a second.
Yeah, it is it's interesting. But that also leads me, for my very, very amateur anthropology, when I was interested in it for a brief second in college and took a couple classes, they do say that cultures that are close together share a lot more experience than, we're kind of used to. And so it can lend to some authenticity, but it can also lend to just shared culture all throughout.
Gotcha.
I'd be curious, because something I found really interesting is a lot of words that I learned were not like Spanish related, but rather they had Polynesian.
Oh, really?
And like mata, I think is eyes. Mata is eye. But I know in certain parts of the Polynesian islands, I think it's the same. So there's definitely some connection there. And so I would be curious to actually look into some of the Polynesian folklore as well and see the type of connections I have.
That would be very interesting, because I think as a person coming from like, the 21st century, we don't necessarily trade via boat or whatever. I mean, we trade planes, whatever, but information is just all on the internet. So we could kind of filter out. But when you have trade back in the day where these people are coming and having these stories, and because that was the only entertainment they had, imagine when they're docked, thousands of miles away from their homeland, sharing these stories, and then those people sharing stories, I could see how it could,
it'd be really, I mean, because honestly, you look at the stories kind of were currency.
Yeah,
100%,
absolutely.
Because that's a good story could get you anywhere.
Not only currency, but it was literally how you taught children.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oral history was the way that you pass down knowledge, the way that you pass down wisdom. And a lot of times the wisdom and knowledge that was passed down was cloaked in story. I mean, you can't just come out and tell a kid not to touch the fire.
Yeah,
you have to
because
come up with you have to almost come up with a story as why
a demon
the fire.
In the fire.
Literally. I mean, you read some of like the old Germanic fairy tales.
Oh yeah,
and that's
Don't go outside after dark because you'll get too cold and you'll freeze to death. No, that's not what I'm going to tell you. There's this creature that will take you, put you in a bag, and run off with you.
Exactly.
And you'll never be seen again.
By the way, Samoan mata is eyes.
Yes.
So
interesting. So Moana is correct. She defeated the thunder god or whatever. So now they could spread the languages and stuff.
I know. Maybe one of them is Filipino. I don't know. My Filipino compadres might not believe this, but I kind of feel like the Philippines is like you had the Polynesian islands and the Asian mainland kind of meet together in one area, and then later you had the Spanish come in and conquer it. So you have this really cool combination of all sorts of stuff.
Is the Philippines in the territory of Asia, or is it technically Polynesia?
No,
it's
or
Asia.
Micronesia or whatever.
Yeah, it's considered Asia.
Oh, okay.
It's Southeast Asian. So it's like it's kind of smack dab in between like Malaysia and Indonesia and like Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
But there was time like what was it on Top Gear when they went and visited starts with a B.
Burma.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, Southeast Asia.
Myanmar.
There was so many similarities.
Oh yeah.
To what they were seeing the eye saw, like not just in like location and stuff, but like the people, the housing, some of the other stuff you see. It's just really cool when you see that because you're like, wow, you can see how that was spread across. So
that is what's funny is you say that, but then I knew a guy that went to India and spent some time over in India for about 6 months, and he said Burma reminded him more of India. And Burma is like, I mean, it's right in between Southeast Asia and India. Yeah. So, I mean, it's so funny that
You can just see it. And that's one of those things. There's so much crosses.
Yeah, well, in the Philippines especially, I mean, just because of the turbulent history, it really is kind of like, it's a big melting pot. Because, yeah, you've got the Spanish influence, you got the Southeast Asian influence, but you also have like a huge American influence.
Well,
You've
that
got
was
a Japanese influence. You've got, I mean, it's...
During
It's
the
quite a bit.
Spanish War, or Mexican War, whatever, America conquered, per se, during our imperial area, the Philippines.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
it was a territory of the United States.
It was kind of our first foray into colonialism.
Imperialism, yeah.
Imperialism.
Yeah, and that lasted until I think World War II is shortly after World War II is when
Yep,
they asked for their independence.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Which I have certain people that feel very grumpy about that because they're like, it could have been easy. I could have just gone to America whenever I wanted.
Yep.
So, sig bean. Let's talk about the sig bean.
Sig bean.
So this is something that I heard about, and actually, it kind of made me feel gross inside. So I'm going to share it with you guys.
Gross
So
things.
it's actually not that bad, but at the time when they were explaining it to me, I was just like, ooh. So it is a dog-like creature that is visible only to its owner. At least that's what some people say. It eats any raw meat, preferably blood or freshly slaughtered. When you keep a sig bean as a pet, it will be your silent guardian. It will protect you from danger, bring good luck, and it will even give you a ride when needed.
I messed up and looked at it.
Which one did you look at?
The one that looks like a bat. It's like a bat cat creature.
So that wasn't as much explained to me. Look for the one where the dog's head is underneath his body. Yeah, do a different one. So what you're looking for is it's almost like the dog's head like wraps underneath its body.
Oh, like this one?
Yes. So kind of like that, but then there's ones where like it, for whatever reason, like its head is facing the wrong direction underneath the body, and it's a little bit of an interesting creature.
Interesting. So there is a drawing that is actually a professional drawing of people that explain what the sig bean is. What does that look like to you?
Kangaroo.
A kangaroo. Isn't that weird?
Interesting.
So
What the heck?
let's say the sig bean is one of those that, I mean, so it's all well and good unless it's hungry. And then it will not just turn on you, but it will eat your entire family.
Well, that's not nice.
That's what kangaroos do, man.
So, but it's interesting. The sig bean is a monster who appears at night to suck the blood of victims from their shadows. What does that sound like?
Vampire.
Chupacabra.
Oh, true. So the Filipinos, chupacabra.
So what I was explained in the Visayan Islands is that it was a dog-like creature that, again, the head was underneath the body, and so it was like kind of weird, like it could run forward, but its head was facing the opposite direction. Other people have described it as a hornless goat, but has very large ears that can clap, can be clapped like hands, and a long flexible tail that can be used like a whip.
Oh my gosh.
According to legend, there are families known as the Sigbinan, those who know, whose members possess the power to command these creatures, and are said to keep the sig bean in jars made of clay. The Aswang are said to keep them as pets. There is speculation that the legend may be based on sightings of actual animal species that were rarely seen based on the description of the sig bean in popular literature. Some animal experts and zoologists believe the animal species might be a red kangaroo or something related to it.
Ooh, isn't that interesting?
That is, I mean, you think about, once again, going into a little bit more of the skeptical side of things, but I mean, the idea of going somewhere brand new, it's not too hard of a concept to think that, maybe some Filipino people looking for trade went down to Australia and just happened to see a kangaroo and went, the heck is that? Went back and kind of shared the tale, and it just spread from there. So
it's really fascinating when you talk about that way. So
that makes sense because this all makes sense now. If it is a kangaroo, is the head really on the underside, or is it the baby kangaroo sticking its head out?
See? Crazy.
Because that would be demented.
It's believed to have a foul odor. During Holy Week, this is kind of where I think that Catholic tradition kind of comes in. It's said to emerge from its burrow, hunting for youngsters to slaughter for their hearts. which it molds into amulets. Isn't that the most random? Like here you're talking about like this dog creature, and all of a sudden, oh, by the way, it's going to make your heart into an amulet.
Oh, interesting.
So, but yeah, it's here's another explanation. It moves backwards with its head buried beneath its rear legs, and to be visible to other species, particularly humans. So
do you know how you see a Sigbean? I just found this comment. You need to whistle. You need to look upside down between your legs, and you will see its true form.
Now, I have to say,
I would love to see that.
the Filipino dogs
Look weird.
are some of the most disgusting looking dogs you'll ever see, because a lot of them have diseases
Like mange and stuff?
and they look bad. Like I don't know if you guys have watched I Am Legend, the movie.
Yeah.
Do you guys know the zombie dogs?
Uh-huh.
I saw zombie dogs. Like they looked bad, but the thing about it is like whistle and it comes to you if you look underneath. Oh, that totally the dogs would have come at you and did that.
Literally, one of the next comments, and this is translated.
So you're the Sigbean?
Well, no, it says, why would you even want to look at it? So
It's funny. That's a Filipino
gross.
dog. Do you know what a Canadian dog is? It's a freaking bear.
but
I thought it was a moose.
well, so here's the weird thing about the Sigbean too, and it just kind of occurred to me as we were talking about this. As I was reading that little blurb that said it was a pet to an aswang,
Mm-hmm.
that is almost identical to the idea of the witch's familiar.
Yeah.
You know, the black cat or whatever creature that the witch decides to hold as its spiritual or.
Isn't that interesting that these mythical creatures that, people come up with tend to be like related somehow to like each other? So like the Aswan has the, freaking kangaroo.
Sigbean.
Yeah. It's interesting how they like tie that together, but then they could be separate.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So, how much time we got?
We got about 10 minutes.
So what we'll do is we'll dive into another, one thing that most of the people that I dealt with kind of would talk about and openly avoid is the graveyards at nighttime.
The cemeteries.
Yeah. So the cemeteries during the day, I mean, over in the Philippines, the cemeteries, at least where I was, all the graves are above ground in cement blocks. So like
and there's a good reason for that.
Yeah. So you bury your dead in there. Usually it's one of those, you rent it for a certain amount of time. And then when you're done with it,
Goes in a communal.
a person goes in, opens the grave, takes out the bones, puts it in a bag or some type of other object, and then they stick it in an even smaller box.
Yeah.
And so that's what the graveyards are. Well,
so which is funny because that's very European to do that because they don't have a lot of room.
oh, is it?
Uh-huh.
I
In Louisiana, they do that too.
I mean, it's an easy way to go about it. I mean, having been there when they've had to open the grave and get some bones out, it's not a very pleasant odor, and not a very pleasant sight. But one thing I found out really quick, though, as I talked about earlier, is how terrified a lot of the Filipinos are of graves and graveyards at nighttime. So I was kind of curious because I wanted to look into some of the beliefs for that, and they have some very interesting beliefs about creatures that hang out in graveyards. The first one we're going to talk about is the burbalong.
Burbalong. Burb.
It's a ghoul-like creature that digs up corpses from graves or hunts living humans, often associated with the aswang. You have a balbal, an evil witch or vampire that feeds on corpses, often described as having long, carved nails, an elongated tongue, and a foul breath.
Ew.
You have the Encanto, not to be confused with Encanto, the movie. It's a spirit associated with nature, especially forests and graveyards, and is said to have the ability to appear in human form. Now, that one, I think, was what they were most terrified about.
That they appear.
That they would see some type of spirit.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Now, here's my experience with something that happened.
Uh-oh.
I didn't have an experience with what I would call a ghoul or a spirit, but something else.
A freak?
Yeah, it's a group of them. So I was walking home one of the times, and there was this graveyard kind of in the middle of this area, and we were walking past it, and my companion was just
Stay
Don't
away.
go near it.
beside,
Get
but I mean
about-
beside himself, like he was just like he wanted to walk by quick and everything. And so we were walking, and I looked over. I mean, it's 9 o'clock, but it's like pitch black.
Yeah.
There was no moon, which I mean that probably was what led to this. But I looked over, and there were a bunch of like cloaked or robed individuals that were going into the graveyard and making a circle with candles.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so that was one of those times when you're like, yeah, I honestly.
Be gone, Satan!
I turned to my companion and I was like, "Do you see that?" And he's like, "We need to run!" Get out!" So we just take off running. So it was one of those that you get kind of all sorts of people that like to hang out in those
the
different
heebies
places.
and the GBs.
Yeah,
It just
was
turns
just-
out they
it
were
was
wearing
ju-
raincoats.
I was going to say it's just the Filipino goths.
hey man, let's go visit this grave.
they were going and giving respect to their grandpa, and they were
The
all
Filipino
cold, and so they're
emos.
probably wearing that.
Yeah, and
Tonight will be the night that I will fall for you.
over me. No, I'd be interested to find out where these come from because I can see this. Just picture me. No, don't picture me. That's disgusting. Picture, if you will. It's 100, 200 years ago. They haven't thought about just burying them in boxes above ground. They bury them in the ground. Crazy monsoon comes, floods the area, washes the mud away. What's left? Bunch of zombies,
Yeah, zombies
coming
out
up
of
from
the-
and that would be absolutely
Which
terrifying.
They have here. It's a amalanhig, a type of zombie that raises from the grave after failing to transfer its monstrosity to a relative.
That's
See, and
interesting.
that's the thing. That's the thing. What they don't talk about in natural disasters is that happens actually
A lot,
frequently, where they get brought up, and then caskets and bones and people are floating that have been dead for
or even one of the ones that they don't talk about a lot is most modern day funerals and most modern day graveyards actually put you in a big cement box first.
crypt.
Well, those crypts fail all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the signs that they fall is the earth falls and it fills up with water.
Mm-hmm.
And so you literally have a little pond that is filled with dead people. And it's actually like it's incredibly common. It's something that happens all the time.
So whenever you come across the pond, think to yourself,
A dead body.
There's a dead body in
underneath
there.
Oh, I can only imagine.
it was fun.
We will have to one time because I got on a we're going to call it a side path when I was kind of looking into this Filipino folklore, and that is Filipino cults. And there are a lot of weird Filipino cults.
There are definitely some. There are some I came across. There are some I will not talk about. There's
bad.
others that
We're talking about it on the podcast. Congratulations.
There's some. I mean, like I came across full blown Satan worshippers,
Yeah.
and
I
that
did too.
that as a religious missionary who believes in Christ was not a very happy experience.
Not great.
But I mean, you not only do you have cults, but you have rebels who
Yeah.
are openly rebelling and
That's true.
causing
Well, and
issues and
you
stuff.
have old belief. You have belief in families that have been around for 10, 15 generations that have been passed down and passed down.
Yeah.
I mean, they might claim that they are the staunchest Catholics, but some of the beliefs that they've held were beliefs that were around well before the Spanish came over
Easy
with
peasy.
Catholicism.
Well, you'll have those, but they still go out and see the witch doctor that's clear out in the boonies.
See, and that's the thing. Meeting with a lot of Catholics in the areas that I were, Catholicism blends with a lot of different things in areas.
I don't even think in general, I think that in most religion kind of pulls the things that are around it.
Why we have Christmas.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Easter.
Yeah, that's why exactly. There's so many different kind of examples of things that are pulled in.
They say we have very religious meanings behind it, but the rest of the world kind of we have a lot of traditions that are definitely not religious with it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, I think that we have come to the end, guys. We'll call it good. But let's do some final words on this, the Filipino folklore part 2. We'll start with you, Josh.
My final thoughts. So I'm a woodsy guy. I like going out, exploring the woods. I like being out in the mountains. I like hiking. I like all that stuff. I've come to the conclusion I'm never going to go to the Philippines. And I'm never going to set foot outside a city in the Philippines because I will get mauled, eaten, and probably peed on by the little dwarf in the tree.
The duerte?
Yeah.
You're going to get peed on by the dwarf's just going to come out and be like, you know what? Before you pee on my tree, I'm going to pee on you.
You never know. But yeah, I find it fascinating that these things are passed on because in my eyes, why would you pass on something that you're scared of? Why wouldn't you just stop like, okay, but
sure.
At the same time, that gives me of like, okay, are these things that people made up? Or was it a legitimate thing that was there? It may not be around today, but it was a legitimate thing.
Sure. Well, what's fun is the aswang itself is just a mix of all sorts of experiences and stuff that people have seen. Like you go to any which place and the aswang can always look a little different, but still have something similar with it. It's really fun.
You know, I can love and appreciate the folklore behind all of these because what it tells me is the Filipino people are imaginative. They're exciting. They're wonderful. I just got done watching some Anthony Bourdain, and he went to the Philippines.
Oh, rest in peace.
And he kind of went out outside of Manila a little bit, and just the culture of the Philippines is a really fascinating thing because we've focused on the scary stuff, but there's also like a lot of jubilation and happiness and everything that's also, I think, in there. So, but I will tell you, they've got a lot of freaky stories for such a little place. Overall, sorry, Filipino people. I know I say that and I'll probably tick a lot of you guys off, but for what is essentially a loose conglomeration of a bunch of different tiny islands, the stories and the folklore and the paranormal spookiness that comes out of that place is super dense.
Yeah, and I think the reason is I feel bad, but the Filipinos have been taken advantage of a long time. They've always been conquered by somebody over, thousands and thousands of years, whether that be Japanese, American, Spanish, whatever.
Which is sad because they seem like a very lovely people.
Oh, they're amazing people.
But
they make really good food.
It's a melting pot of all these different things.
Oh, yeah.
And they've all stuck.
It's a really interesting and fascinating kind of juxtaposition of what happens when multiple cultures come colliding in a very small space.
Yeah.
And to a people, I will say, that seem to really be open to the idea of interesting things happening around them,
Yeah, I relate it to like a small town. America's a huge melting pot. You don't have a ton of these things, but if you go to a small town in America, there's always these random stories that you're like, what the?
There's the gravity hills and the hitchhiking ghosts and everything like that. Yeah.
So is the Philippines just a small town, America?
Yeah, no.
Jake, final words from you.
I absolutely loved my time in the Philippines. I mean, they really are some of the kindest people you'll ever meet. They feed you well. Even when they kind of are scrimping. And they just go out of their way to find opportunities to have fun and do fun things. And even I was in some of the boonies, as you would like to call them. So I can't speak for all of like the Filipino beliefs, like up in some of the more industrial areas and stuff like that. But man, we had a lot of fun in my area. But man, they have a lot of beliefs. Now, we've talked about all of this. And yes, supposedly I saw a capre. Supposedly I had a white lady hanging out in my house somewhere. I never saw anything. I mean, I was out in the boonies in the middle of pitch black, dark, and I never saw anything, and maybe they were just scared of me because they thought I was an asswang of some type. I don't know, but it's one of those that you look at and you just go, I have my beliefs. They have their beliefs. Their beliefs kind of make them probably a little bit more inclined to be able to be looking for those things, where I didn't have it, and it was fun because of it, because I could have fun with it.
What have we come to understand? Jake doesn't believe crap.
I'm
just kidding.
There's just some things now. Do I believe that there are people out there that would want to, jump the American thinking he's rich while he's there? Yeah, and that's what I had to be a little bit more concerned about. But
not only that, but people are trying to overthrow the government by killing off.
Yeah, I know.
Faithfuls.
Being hunted by rebels is not a kind thing. You don't want to be involved with that.
No.
Hey, same. An international gang is not fun to be hunted by.
Yeah. So I mean, there's things that happen, but it really is a lovely place. And really, I mean, the most important thing that we can take from this is just don't go outside.
I was hoping you were going to go completely opposite and experience new cultures, see new things.
Oh yeah,
learn to love people.
No, that's perfectly fine. Stay in their houses, but I mean, don't go outside. I mean, there are rats that are 3 to 4 feet tall. Or not tall,
you can experience
long.
That should be the new slogan to get people. Experience Princess Bride. Come to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Fight an ROUS.
So I hung out, and I really did see some absolutely beautiful sights while I was outside. But if you're gonna go to
Jake
try to
went
find,
outside. Everyone, you heard it here.
I was outside 12 to 14 hours a day. There's a reason I don't like being outside anymore, because I was outside too much. But if you want to go and find the aswangs, if you want to go find the witch doctors, the witches, the duendes, go pee on a tree. See what happens.
And maybe you will see.
Maybe you will see.
Maybe your eyes will be opened if you are willing to look.
Or
Jake wants to stay inside, though.
I feel like I'm going in a haunted mansion. Open your eyes,
Open
then you
your
can
eyes.
see.
99 ghosts, etc.
Can you imagine? Wait, pause. Can you imagine if this was a ride at Disneyland, where it was like a haunted mansion? You're walking through, you have the whole, elevator thing.
You were talking about our podcast for a minute. I'm like, I'm sorry, that would be a horrible ride.
But what the part of the podcast is you have to pee on the tree, or not podcast. Part of the ride is you have to pee on the tree, and then that's what starts the ride. Is you have to escape from the guy.
Thank you for joining us on the Twaddling Along podcast. We are grateful for our listeners, and we are grateful for you sticking around for us, especially when Josh at the very end of a podcast starts talking about peeing on trees and rides.
That is patented Disney. If you steal that idea, you owe me money.
We will see you all next week. Thank you so much for joining us.
With me.
Dabby dabby boop.